This week is Cake Week. But with a scientific twist.
A fact you put in here. So don't look at a solar eclipse.
The bakers this week have been set the challenge of creating a layer cake. This can be any recipe, any shape, any size, but most importantly it has to contain or portray some element of science.
We're gonna do a volcano cake, so it's gonna be the base like that. Then the second tier is gonna be 1/2 of the cake. To be like, well, this part is going to be kind of like an oval, and then this part's gonna be a big square, and then we're gonna make like a cake pop volcano, and we're gonna try to make some like lava.
Based upon her recent IPC lessons, Devon wants to create a volcano, using frosting to try and recreate that volcano and lava look.
Hello, this is Bennett, and welcome to the Mother's Day edition of the MIT Bake Off. I'm actually going to wake my mother to help me.
Bennett has decided to dedicate his cake to his mother on Mother's Day. He's going to create a rainbow cake with pink frosting on the outside. Sofia's science theme will consist of a rocket with a blueberry for a window and using icing to recreate the rocket.
It seems that since we've all gone into lockdown, everyone has decided to bake bread, make pizza, cookies, copious amounts of banana bread. And as a result, for the past 2 weeks, I've had very limited quantities of flour. However, this arrived. So I actually am making banana cake, a layered banana cake, mainly because we have about 100 bananas and 3 of them appear to be super ripe. Throwing away, remember to compost. It's a really good idea to compost. It's kind of hard to do in New York.
Miss Wright has recently taught the Four Seasons nursery, and she now hopes to recreate this science in her cake. So this here is actually an example of my layer cake. Instead of decorating with a science theme, I decided actually to use the cake to portray the science. So what I've got here is, with the Year 7s, I'm currently teaching about the rock cycle. There's 3 different types of rock, starting with the sedimentary being the carrot cake, and then the marble being the metamorphic, and then finally we've got the red velvet for the igneous rock. The reason why I chose the carrot cake is obviously because you've got those bits of carrot in it, and obviously sedimentary rock contains sediments from rocks that have been weathered over time, whether it be biological, chemical or physical weathering. Through the cementation has become sedimentary rock. And then next we've got the metamorphic rock, we've got the marble. Now actually marble is a metamorphic rock because it is made under the intense pressures and the heats. The rocks kind of metamorphosize into a different type of rock, and you often get that kind of swirling and that layering from as the rocks combine. And then lastly we've got the igneous rock. Now igneous rock tends to be formed from like the magma chambers, you tend to get from the volcanoes. You often get kind of crystals with this because you get them kind of cooling. And depending on the rate of the cooling, depends on the size of the crystals. Pumice is also an example of igneous rock, because where the CO2 balls have been trapped really quickly as the rocks cool down. So this is my example. I mean, most of it's gone now because it's been around a few days, and there's been some hungry mouths around. Oh, another cool thing about this, which is just me geeking out, is the actual frosting that I put on the top, which is like supposed to be like I dyed it blue to represent the water. I decided to use the carrot cake icing because the carrot cake icing actually had walnuts in it, which I thought kind of represented the sediment falling through the water, becoming part of the carrot cake. So this is an example of how you could use cake in science.
You getting a little help here?
Yes. That's the board.
No.
Hi, this is Bennett, and this is actually my rainbow cake. As you can see, there's only 4 colors because I only have 4 colors of dye, so yeah.
It's finished. Everything mixed together, loads of mixture. And the next step I have to do is pour it into my prepared cake tin. So with the pan, very carefully pouring half of the mixture. Oh gosh, I think I've done too much. Whoops. Into the oven it goes at 350 for just under half an hour.
Okay, push it in.
Bakers will now hope they have got their ingredients measured correctly as they watch their batter rise and bake in the oven.
Alright, what are we going to do here?
So next we've got this. We're gonna cut a circle and put that for the second layer with buttercream in between, and then we're going to stack some little circles on top of it to make a volcano, and then we're gonna ice the whole thing. I'm making the buttercream.
How are we going to have to blend it?
We're gonna have to use this.
Alright.
Go. Wow, still. Well, we made our vanilla cake, and now all we gotta do is put frosting on it and put our scientific theme on it, and then we're good. So I'm making the frosting for a vanilla cake over there. For the science theme of my cake, I've decided to make a solar eclipse. The cake will be the sun, and the frosting is the moon covering up the sun.
Using a vanilla sponge and chocolate frosting, Eob hopes to recreate the eclipse in his cake.
Hope this is good, and
Both the cakes survived their experience in the oven. Yes. For those everyone looking, I have nibbled. We're now about to start icing them. So plate ready. I'm going to put one of them. I think I'm going to choose the one with the flatter top to be the top. Crown down like that. Look, beautiful bake on the bottom. And then, because this is a layer cake, I'm going to put a layer of the cream cheese icing that I made in between the cake.
Once the cakes are cool, they can start to sculpt, ice, and decorate.
Use the knife to kind of cut it so it's more like a volcano shape, and then we're gonna ice it. Icing.
Got it. Go ahead and just pay attention to the cake.
I just made this brown icing, and now I'm gonna put it on my cake. try and make it look more like a volcano.
We have got our 2 banana layers with cream cheese frosting on the inside and on the top. And if you can kind of see, I have split my cake into 4 parts, and that is because, being a nursery teacher, one of the things that we really like to talk about, and one of the things we study in science, is the seasons, and there are 4 of them. So this is going to be a 4 seasons cake. And to do this, I've made chocolate icing, and I couldn't find my piping bags, so I've used some sandwich bags, and then I've got some food colourings to make the leaves. So I'm going to start with winter, and I'm going to pipe my tree. I've got to be really careful with this. Go nice and slow.
I'm just smearing it on the bottom so it looks a bit more like dirt.
What are you doing here?
I'm gonna drop the lava on top of the volcano.
Well, I'm putting the frosting on of our future solar eclipse. We use chocolate frosting, of course, and for the chocolate frosting we're using cocoa powder, which already had sugar in it because that was the only thing that I had, vanilla extract, whole milk, and powdered sugar, butter, and that's it. The solar eclipse is nearly complete, and unfortunately some of the butter didn't get in all the way, didn't mix with the cream, but still look, solar eclipse looked kind of good. Also, for scientific reasons, because I know Mr. Reardon is, he would want a joke to be, or a fact to be put in here. So don't look at a solar eclipse directly. Just put special goggles on, and if you're lucky enough, then you can see it.
And I think I'm happy with that. So I did my trees first, and as you can see, piping bag popped and it went everywhere, but it did achieve the job. So I'm going to rinse my hands. Clean hands, onto the seasons. I'm going to leave that one bare for winter, and the season that follows winter, as everyone in nursery should now be able to tell you, is spring, the season we are in now. And for that, I have got a pink food colouring. There's my spring tree full of buds. Next, moving on to my summer tree when all the leaves turn green. Nursery, 4 seasons, layered cake. Winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Thanks everyone.
This is my final product. It's a rainbow cake, where we made with food coloring and frosting and whatnot. Here it is.
Wait, should I spin it?
You're good. All right, what do you think?
I really like it.
Did it come out the way you thought it would?
I thought I would make it like a bit like I thought it would like just like smear the lava all over the edges, but since I ripped it, like you saw in a couple videos ago, it.
What does it look like compared to your original drawing? Let's take a look.
The judges will now look at the cakes and decide who is this week's star baker.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bake Off. This has been my most exciting week, and I'm really excited to see the cakes and share my cake. This was my favourite week so far, and the most tastiest are the delicious layer cakes that you've been made look yummy, and I'm looking forward to judging them.
Yeah, so this week we were asking the bakers to make a layer cake which consists of at least 2 layers with some kind of filling in it. And no surprise why you're excited to see this week because of your little masterpiece that you've made. But you know, both the competition in the adults and the children was quite competitive this week. It's a great bake, Miss Claire, but is it going to be Star Baker? I don't know. I don't know.
It is competitive every week. It's always amazing what is produced.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to start with Eob. I was really impressed by his videos. I loved the narration that he gave, a lot of detail, and I really like it's a very creative idea of a simple way to show something scientific on a cake, which I think was the hardest part of this challenge. Like, we can all bake cakes, you can all put layers and frost them, but thinking of the scientific aspect of it was the tricky thing. So I think it was a very clever, cunning link to science.
Yeah, the frosting looks delicious.
Yeah, I don't know how many layers there were, and from the videos it didn't look like it was layers.
I don't think it's a layer cake.
But I think the cake does look nice. I love a bit of chocolate icing, but I do think you can still see the butter that hasn't quite been mixed in properly. So I would lose some technical points for that. And like you say, I don't think we can include it if it's not a layer cake because it doesn't meet the judging criteria. He was also very clear that you shouldn't ever look directly at an eclipse. So
absolutely, if he hadn't mentioned that, I would have marked him down heavily. So well done, Eob. You definitely saved yourself there. No, but I do like it. Again, it's a great entry, and I just enjoy seeing his videos and just seeing his efforts.
He's explaining what he's doing and keeping.
Cheers. Yeah. Now let's go on to again another person who I think we're kind of skirting around the rules a bit, which is Mila's. I don't think she actually put a name on the entries. Now this cake is beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful cake, and I don't think there'd be any left for anyone else if I was there. And
it does look delicious and beautiful. These strawberries, they're cut so beautifully.
Just beautiful. There's the decoration, there's scenery in the background as well. I'm very jealous of that kind of Photoshop background, but I think it's actually real. I was like, but what's the science? And she's like, it's the dissection of a strawberry. And I was like, no. You cannot have the dissection as a strawberry. But I know that she's tried to blag this like afterwards. I know that she's
and
talking the talk.
Yeah, she can. She can rise to the Eskimos.
I received those chocolates from her dad. I received them today actually, and I have just eaten fruit. They are delicious and they're so beautiful. Like, it's no surprise. Honestly, it's no surprise that this is a beautiful cake when you've obviously got like talent and skill like that running all around you. So, well, first of all, thank you for those chocolates. You need to tell me how to make those. There's a science to chocolate. Honestly, there's a science to chocolate, and I appreciate it. Temperatures and how quickly things like cool down, and there's such a science to it. And chocolate itself is such a technical thing and such an engineering thing.
Yeah, so I think this looks an absolutely delicious cake. I think I'd like to have seen the middle to see the layers because I think that is part of the judging as well. And again, I think maybe disqualified because the science is lacking. It could have worked as a dissection of story, maybe as well with a diagram of it on top or something. I don't know. In some ways, but a beautiful cake, and I wish I could taste it.
Okay, so next, I think a crowd favourite, always Bennett.
Yes, I love this. Is a great shot. So we can see the outside, we can see the inside, you can see those lovely colourful layers.
Gone for a rainbow kind of cake. So I think again, you know, here there was clearly more thought to a scientific theme.
Yeah.
He also he tried to do it for Mother's Day.
Oh, what a lovely thing to do.
As you'll see, he woke his mum up to help him bake it on Mother's Day. So it wasn't like oh, here you go, here's something for Mother's Day. It was, come help me for your own cake, essentially.
And I think technically stacking more than 3 layers is quite tricky because you can see they start to buckle if you don't think about how to structure them.
The cake itself looks pretty good. It looks fairly moist. Doesn't look, I mean, again, it's quite hard to judge this, but it doesn't look overbaked. Kind of like dry.
That's been Bennett's weakness in the last 2 weeks. I also think there could have been more development towards the theme. So yes, the cake, the different colours and it's rainbow, but could there have been extra frosting decorations or something else to make that science theme stronger? The other thing I would say about it is that bottom layer doesn't quite look the same fake as the rest of it.
Right, let's go on to Sofia's rocket now. I really like this, and I've seen that she's made a time-lapse footage photo. It is a layer cake, and
I can only see the rocket shape, which is a beautifully presented picture. I love it.
Looks fun. It's got the science theme. It's got the presentation. She worked with a mum on this. I think a solid cake.
It's beautifully well shaped as well. Again, technically, once you've made a cake and then trying to shape it and cut it and make it, and they've done a great job making those wings. Are they called wings? Even creating that rocket shape is tricky, and it's been done very well. And then iced very beautifully as well. So none of the frost bleeding. The blueberry for a window is a lovely addition too.
Sofia should be very proud of that, and I think maybe contention for Star Baker. I think because she has got that, she's got the presentation and she's got the layer cake, and it looks quite good. So you know, in my opinion, I think up there as one of the stronger contenders we've seen so far.
I agree. A beautiful cake, and Sofia's a very consistent baker. I think she's had consistently good entries, hasn't she?
Next, we've got Devon. It just looks like it's alive. It looks like
I love it. I'd love to see the layers inside as well. I think it's Vesuvius, isn't it? It's based on the volcano that's in Pompeii.
I'm gonna have to take your word for that. It
is Vesuvius, yeah.
As the IMYC teacher.
Yes, I love the lava flowing over. I love that kind of effect that has, and how beautiful the cake is. It's very realistic in a sense, and I love the fact the plan to think about how she was going to build that up.
I'm gonna say that's something I really like. This is a cake that has not just been like thrown together. 100% the MIT process where you kind of like, let's just plan things. Let's throw some things down. Let's get something that starts in the mind, get it down on paper, and then let's build it. Yeah. Really like this.
Yeah, I love it. I think she's again proving what a creative young lady she is.
No, she did this. She was mixing this with her sister briefly. I think she had to take over because I think her sister tried to start eating the batter with a fork.
I mean, it's always tempting.
It is. And for me, I think this is going to be between her and Sofia. No, for me, I think I'm tempted to give it to Devon because of that engineering aspect of the structure.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Sofia's is a fantastic, beautifully made cake, and I'm pipping her for a win next week because she is consistently just misses out. But I think Devon has added some engineering feats in there. So the MIT, like you said, she's really embodied that kind of MIT theme. She's done a great layer. She's stacked and she's thought it through, and it's a beautiful outcome. So I agree. Well done.
So, well done, Devon. And bad luck to Sofia because that was so close, I think.
So close, yeah.
So let's move on to the adults. Okay, so let's start off with Mr. Moffat's Dino drizzle cake. Now, I love the presentation. It's not a layer cake, but I think he just wanted to make a cake and get involved. So he just ended up making this.
Eating cake is always fun. So I think I like the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are obviously enjoying the cake because it seems like quite a big chunk has already been missing.
Miss Wright this is her first entry, and wow, what a first entry!
Very
strong.
Yeah. The
4 seasons. I mean, you've got it there, haven't you? You've got the winter. You've got the
Spring.
forgot my seasons all of a sudden. Spring. I mean, seasons don't exist right now, so you know.
So we've got fall, winter, spring, and summer. I'm presuming the green one. But it's beautifully decorated, very evenly spaced out as well.
Great science, kind of theme, great presentation.
Yeah.
It just depends on who else, you know. Is there something stronger out there?
Yeah, that's the question, Mr. Reardon.
That's the question. Who do you want? Do you want to look at mine next?
Yes, I'd love to look at yours.
This is the rock cycle, okay. And what I love about this is, okay, so I've chosen this cake specifically.
I can tell your cake is so well baked. I could tell it was the rock cycle.
What, you're trying to say it looks like a rock?
Yeah.
So from a kind of, I think I've gone very much heavy on the science.
I would
principles.
expect no less from you, Mr. Reardon. I think that the science element of here is the strongest from all of the cakes, because you've thought not just about a science kind of look or theme or decoration. You've gone full hog with every part of your cake representing the science.
Should we move on to your cake now? Because I know you're very excited. Do you want to describe to us what's going on here, Miss Claire?
So baking cakes is one of the things that I do love to do, and I was very excited when you said it was a layer cake. One of my favourite things to do. In fact, I nearly quit teaching many years ago and make cakes like this. So I wanted to make a beaker cake because I wanted to have lots of layers stacked up, and I wanted to base it on the movie Flubber is what I was thinking when I started with my green. But like I said, it's very hard when you're mixing colour into your batter to not lose the integrity of it, and you don't want to ruin it. So I decided instead of risking my cake, I would make it more colourful and lively inside. And I baked little cupcakes for the kind of spout.
Oh, cool, for the top.
And then I cooked the bases in bowls, in like kitchen bowls.
Oh, cool.
And then I did that. So I had...
So you've got the science theme. It's clear, you know, it's a piece of scientific apparatus. I really like that, and I like the fact. But what for me is it's the kind of engineering of the cake itself. It's like it's not just a cake; it's the assembly of the cake itself, which I think is like this. This for me, I don't think my presentation in my cake is good enough compared to say yours or Miss Wright's. For me, it's between you and Miss Wright. Now, I think presentation-wise, Miss Wright is very, very neat.
Yeah,
but I still think yours is very, very good. But I think yours has, and in terms of science theme, both of you got very science themes, and maybe Miss Wright's has got that sort of slightly more educational aspect to it, rather than necessarily just science. But that's not neither here or there.
Yeah, mine's more aesthetic than teachable.
For me, my vote would be for your cake for Star Baker of this week.
Yay!
Well done, Miss Claire, for being Star Baker this week. So well done.
And well done to Miss Wright as well, because that was a very beautiful cake.
So next week's bake, the bakers will be making 5 identical bagels that have to be inspired by a scientist. So an example that I've been given is Isaac Newton with the apple falling on his head. And an example would be you make like an apple infused bagel with maybe like dried bits of, you know, like how he has sesame seeds. It could be like bits of dried apple on top. One of the things that I'm looking for is not necessarily just going for, I mean, you can, but it has to, if you go for like a very like a obvious famous scientist like, you know, the Einsteins, it's got to be something that's going to, you know, if the flavors that you choose or the toppings you have to choose have to really, I think, going to stand out. What I'd like to see is kind of a range of scientists from around the world, and not just kind of like, I don't want to see, you know, just having male scientists, just having, you know, kind of like American or necessarily English scientists.
Options, and you can be really creative with this, because, you know, it's going to be thinking creatively about your links between the scientist and the bagel. Also, I love the fact that it's a New York theme. Like, bagels are one of a New York staple. The key thing here that I think that you said that's just stuck out to me is 5 identical bagels, very identical shape.
Right, so I think we'll leave it there. Thank you again, Miss Claire. Sorry, Miss Berry Claire.
You're very welcome, Mr. Paul Hollywood Reardon.
And thank you for joining us, and I'll hopefully see you next week.
Always a pleasure. See you next week.
Bye.